Member of the House Budget Committee and co-chairs of the GOP Doctors Caucus, Texas Congressman Michael Burgess joins me. Good evening, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get to the budget, I want to talk about one thing. One of the many scourges hit our nation is fentanyl. You've just introduced a bill. What will this do?
Well, actually, the House today, or Thursday, will vote on the Halt Fentanyl Act, which is to permanently schedule the fentanyl analogs. Fentanyl is kind of an unusual molecule. You can tweak it a little bit here, tweak it a little bit there, and it's hard for the DEA to keep up with what the manufacturers are doing with adjusting the molecule so it no longer is illegal. So there's like thousands of combinations of fentanyl that can occur. Only 30 of them are scheduled. Current law the federal government will run out in December of 2024. This bill, it'll be on the floor on Thursday, will permanently schedule the fentanyl analogs. Doesn't outlaw fentanyl. Fentanyl is useful in some medical applications, but it's the analogs of fentanyl that have turned out to be so vexing for our DEA.
And my guess is that will be a bipartisan vote.
They act like it won't be, but it's hard for me to believe that people won't vote in favor of that. That'd be a tough call to vote against that.
All right, now let me turn to the debt ceiling. Everyone says it's not going to happen, that we're going to default. Everybody says that. Speaker Kevin McCarthy says the tone is good. The president says he agrees that default isn't on the table, yet neither side has budged an inch. So, why the sense of optimism? Just because everyone hopes against hope that it won't?
Well, I suppose there's that. And look, Speaker McCarthy is quite correct. The House has done its job. The House has expanded the debt limit.
But even if you do your job, if you can't agree, it doesn't matter if you've done your job, really.
Well, we did agree. We did agree. We passed.
Well, the House did.
Yes, we passed an upper limit of the debt limit that's $1.5 trillion higher than it is today. So what's standing in the president's way, unfortunately, is Chuck Schumer and his senators. But if they would, any kind of counteroffer, don't leave us negotiating with ourselves. We passed a bill that I think was a good bill. I voted for it. I don't like voting for an increase in the debt limit, but this was a solid bill that had solid reductions in federal spending. And Speaker McCarthy's exactly right. You can't go into this and spend more money next year than you spent last year, especially since the pandemic is over.
Well, I think it's fair to say is you put an offer on the table with that bill. You put an offer, and I mean, by having that bill pass the House, and Schumer says he's not taking it up in the Senate, and the president says he'd veto it if it got to him. So have you gotten any counteroffer from the Democrats?
No, I mean, the counteroffer is they say they want a clean debt limit, but they can't get every Democrat to sign a discharge petition for a so-called clean debt limit. But honestly, if the Democratic senators want a clean debt limit, then pass one, send it over to us, and then we go to conference on our bill that's already passed, their bill if they can pass it.
All right. Would you agree that people are still going to get their Social Security no matter what happens?
Yes.
And Medicare?
Yes.
No matter, and Medicaid?
Yeah. Well, Medicaid is a federal-state
partnership. Yeah.
Yeah. So the states will continue to pay Medicaid bills. The federal government will contribute their share to whatever the federal share is on Medicaid. But I would not look for there to be any immediate interruption of that. Sooner or later, you're going to have to come to a reckoning. But it's not like this is different from a government shutdown. We go into an appropriations lapse, and September 30th is the drop dead date because all the appropriations bills stop on September 30th. But this isn't that. This is the limit of the nation's borrowing authority.
But if we run out of, if I get to the end of my credit card and I've got no more credit and I want to buy something, even if it's I said I was going to buy it earlier, how is that different?
Well, bear in mind, the debt clock from time to time, right now is one of those times, runs backwards as more money comes in. So it's not like there is a complete vacuum in the federal treasury.
So we're going to get tax receipts in excess? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's happening every day. That's why I think the Treasury Secretary has projected that after June the 1st, this becomes difficult to manage. But look, why are we accepting what the Treasury Secretary is telling us? She's the one that missed the boat on inflation so badly and said, oh, yeah, I should have caught that 2 years earlier, but I didn't. Why are we trusting her to do this work?
Congressman Burgess, thank you very much. I hope you come back, sir.
I will do it. Thank you.